New York! Hi, Jacqui.
Hey, Jasmin.
Guess what we're going to talk about today? Washington, D.C.
Only the greatest city in the world.
There's nothing you can't do.
Jasmin's exploring a new
you.
career.
I literally woke up this morning and listened to that song.
Nice, I love it. It's a great song.
By the way, Alicia Keys, she's a really nice, gentle woman.
Have you had a chance to speak to her personally, or
Not lately.
okay?
No, but like when she's live, because I heard the song in many versions.
Yeah.
And when she's live, she's just like, I love y'all. I just want to let you know I love y'all. It's so nice.
That is nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
today we're going to talk about New York.
Yeah. I mean, when before I lived here, I was very curious about how it really is to live in New York. And I know we've had some requests for this subject. And we are happy to share our life with you, our listeners.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to it. When did you first realize you wanted to move here?
So actually, when I was like 14, I had a dream, all of a sudden just a thought in my head that I need to live in New York.
Wow.
And it came out of nowhere. I just wanted to go to New York, and that's it. That's when and then it didn't happen at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gorge.
It took 16 years for me to get there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But it started then, and obviously I was too young, so I was waiting to grow up. And then I grew up, forgot about it, remembered it, let it go, came back to it, and actually did it.
And now you're here.
And I made it through.
Boy, oh boy, was that a ride.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
How about you?
I first discovered New York.
Oh my God. Every time.
When I took a serious dive into Sex and the City, when I was about 17, 18,
Yeah.
I pirated the whole seasons, all of the seasons, and I used to, this is when I was getting really depressed, so I used to do takeouts from the brasserie
Oh.
and get a burger, and because we used to work there, they used to always like sneak desserts
Oh, the
with
best.
our takeouts.
The best.
And so it was like creme schnitt.
Creme-schnitt. Creme-schnitt. I don't know how you say it in America, but yeah. Like a layered cake.
A bunch of like French patisseries.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God. And I was just sitting there eating my burger and watching Carrie carry on with all of her. What if all of us were addicted to sex? Questions.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dang, New York is like Tel Aviv, but on steroids and 100 times better, and
Yeah.
which it's not.
We'll get into that soon.
Right. But I was like, I'm ready for the big city, honey.
Yeah. Well, you were also living in the big city at the time.
Right. So
but we definitely idolized anything America, and New York obviously is the most advertised city in the world. So a lot of people have that conception.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Thank you. I feel like it's a common
Yeah.
story.
Sex in the City turns you on New York.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
When was the first time you actually visited?
So actually, my first visit was December 2018, the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yes.
Did I tell this story already on the podcast?
Listen, I heard this story many times.
You did. You were there when it happened.
Yeah. You want me to tell it?
I mean, okay. Anyway, the way it went was I was like kind of unhappy with my life living in Tucson, Arizona. And, revisited the idea of moving to New York, which was, like I said, something that I have in me since the age of 14.
Wow.
And when we came to the U.S., you and I, that was our goal and plan, was to move to New York. But plans change, life happens, and we lived in Tucson.
Yeah.
So, it came to a point where I was getting pretty depressed, and I was at home alone. Had a real estate deal fall apart just in a moment, pretty much. My clients backed out, no reason, no explanation, just like, yeah, we can't do it, bye, kind of thing. After I've been working with them for a year, and finally they, finally were able to get to something that they wanted to buy. And then they backed out like 2 weeks before we were supposed to close. So that was a depressing moment.
And that was a gift.
And yeah, I mean, eventually. But let's... Oh my God.
Yes.
So yeah, not a great moment. I cried. And then you and Vlad eventually got home. I told you guys what happened. I told you guys how, sad I am. And, we were thinking about revisiting the idea of moving to New York. And I remember saying to Vlad, like, I wish I could just go there. I wish I could just go and visit and see if I feel the feeling, because you grow up and you think of New York and you have this big expectation in your mind. And I was just like, I just want to know if what I think is going to happen when I get there is true. I don't want to get up and leave without knowing that, the love is there.
Right.
That the chemistry is there. And Vlad said, he's such a wonderful man. Then do it. Go. Like, here, this thing canceled. It's it's Christmas, New Year's. There's not a lot of business going on. Just do it. And I was on a plane within 4 hours. I was like, hey, Jez, can you take me to the airport in like a couple hours? Because I'm going to New York. Yeah. It was great. He was like, just do it. I was like, really? Okay. And booked a flight, booked a hotel. And Jasmin, you were so nice and on board, of course. You're like, yeah, do it. Do you remember? Do you have a different memory of that?
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I was like, you were freaking out because it's doing something for yourself that logically doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right.
And then you fucking do it. And it's huge.
You just go for it.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't have done it without you guys. And I'm very grateful. And it was literally, oh shit, my flight is in 4 hours. I better take a shower, get dressed, pack up, and go, because we were also 2 hours away from the airport, 2-hour drive, and it was great. I mean, the minute I landed and I took a cab into the city, I felt it. I was like, this, yes. It didn't take a long time. It was instant. The love was there, the chemistry was there, the energy, everything. And it was
Yeah.
great. And I spent like 5 days or 6 days on my own, exploring the city, walking around, just being here. Just
And you were there in the most beautiful time of year.
and the most crowded time, also.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was beautiful, and it's not like that all the time. I can tell you that. But it wasn't even about that. But for me, it was.
Right.
You know, I was just more focused on. Is it real? You know, is the New York real? And for me, it is.
Yeah.
So it was great. How about you?
I love that story.
I know it's tell our grandkids type of story.
Right.
I'm very great. I could have done it without you and Vlad, but I would never do that on my own. Like just say, okay, bye.
No, me neither. I wouldn't do that by my own either.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
How about you?
I arrived with my aunt Maddie.
When was it?
This was, I don't remember anything. I think 2017.
I think it was 16.
16?
Yeah, because I was back in Israel.
Okay. It was in May. That's what I know.
Yeah, so probably May 2016.
That makes sense. And we took a train from Connecticut to New York City, Grand Central, mama. And I literally had like not a out of body, but like I saw myself from above. Because I got to Grand Central and I saw the clock.
Yeah.
And it's such a famous
Legendary.
scene. And there were all these people, and it's exactly how you imagine it. And just to see yourself there is so life-changing.
Yeah.
And then we took a cab, and we stayed in Chelsea, so we literally drove through Times Square, which was like, this
Crazy.
is real,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it's not a joke, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I used to watch MTV, so you see Times Square all the time on MTV. And so just being in a yellow cab in New York, you know, and
Yeah.
for me, I felt an instant connection.
Nice.
And I wanted to go out at night and explore the city,
Yeah.
but I was a little young. And my aunt was worried about me.
Was that a moment where
Yeah.
you like, yeah, I want to live here? In the 24 hours you spent in the city,
Yeah.
yeah, you realized like,
I was like, there's no question. This is where everything happens first. This is where everybody lives.
yeah,
Every artist, you know, this is the beginning of time in a way.
wow,
Especially in the U.S. And it was cool because we went from Vermont and Connecticut to New York.
yeah,
And Vermont was where everything really started. And like we went to Rockefeller's house,
okay,
right?
Very
and
cool.
and you just see like all the houses, they look like they're 300 years old, but they look well kept 300
well,
years old.
yeah,
And everything is lush, and like in Vermont there's just a feeling of beginning, you know, like,
interesting,
and it's untouched too because nobody lives there. It's too dang cold. But when you go from that lushiness and then you go to the man-made beauty, which is Connecticut, and everything is like exactly where you'd want it to be, like the tree, the grass, the stone, the house, the door, the window, everything is like perfect. And you're like, fuck this shit. And then you get to New York, and nobody cares in New York. Like, it's a certain feeling that when you arrive, are you gonna get with it or are you gonna get the hell out of here?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
There's no middle. So it you feel it right once you get there. And that's the question that is so true to New York is, are you gonna get with it or are you gonna get the hell out of here?
It really is. Yeah.
Because we're gonna continue with or without you.
Yeah.
And I think, like, even living here for the past 6 months or 5 months, it's still, like, the first year wherever you live, the first year is the hardest year.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still, like, that attitude and, like, it's the inner dialogue of, like, am I gonna get with it or am I gonna get out of here? You know?
Yeah.
And so after you've been here for a year...
But that wasn't... Wait, before you move on, that wasn't the first... that wasn't the only time you visited. Remember the second time you visited?
No.
Well, my 30th birthday.
Oh, true.
So Vlad and I moved to New York February 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And in May, I turned 30. And Jasmin surprised me by visiting.
Yeah.
So you came for a few days.
Bro, I wanted to hide that from you till the day I got here, and I just couldn't.
It was still, I mean, it was still a great surprise.
Yeah.
Even though I knew about it like a few weeks ahead. But how was that? You came for a few days. You were staying with us in our apartment, more like an example of how it is to live here versus being a tourist and just popping in and staying in a hotel at Midtown, you know?
That was a whole other experience.
Yeah.
Because that's when you say, oh my God, New York. You're not like that. You're like, oh, fuck. The subway. You know?
Oh, fuck. The subway.
You can't live with
Says
it.
it all.
You can't live without it.
Wow. Was that... You felt it even then?
It's very hard for me, the subway.
Yeah.
But I liked where you guys lived.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's great.
When you get to Manhattan and I mean, this is the thing. It's or you try and latch on, you know, like hold on to something you know.
Yeah.
Or you completely let go and just be like, bitch,
fuck me. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on this ride. I'm on this fucking subway. You take me wherever you want me to go.
Yeah.
And
bitch, take me. Maybe. Maybe edit it out. Maybe not. We'll
maybe
see.
not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's true though. You gotta, especially when you enter Manhattan, there's like a shift. Something is different, and you really kind of have to surrender.
Yeah.
It's true.
So back then I was like, all the misconceptions are within me. The limits are within me of whether I can or cannot move here.
Yeah.
Those are limits I put, and maybe other people put in front of me, but I choose to listen to that. Do I want to live here? Of course I do. It's New York City. But, you know, trust that you're gonna be okay. You're gonna figure shit out. But, yeah, it's hard to live here.
Yeah.
It's not Tucson, Arizona.
No. And it's not Tel Aviv.
And it's not Tel Aviv.
Where, you know, it's not for us where we grew up and all that.
So, it's,
So, do you feel like it helped you to see us? Like, because we just, you know, after I came back from that trip that I went on my own, we got up and left in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And we had no job, no apartment, nothing. We just had to figure it out. So did it help you to see that we were able to do that, like when you came in May, to see like, okay, they're not homeless, they have a job.
Yeah.
they're doing it. They're living. Life is the same. At the end of the, like, you still pay your bills. You still gotta go to work. You still gotta eat. You know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was almost. It's a slap in the face.
Why?
Because you want to have that dream.
Mm-hmm.
You, in all honesty, you want to, like when you came and you were like, oh my God, look at everything and the snow and everybody and it's so beautiful, and you want to live that life.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I got here, I was like, honey, this is the real road.
Right, I see what you mean. Yeah. But I feel like when I came, maybe because I had more time, you only had 24 hours your first visit. I felt like there were two New Yorks. There was the New York that is on TV and in movies and Times Square and Soho and you know, the fire escapes and whatever, the Statue of Liberty and those yellow cabs. And there's the New York of the people that live in it.
Yep. And
that New York is a little bit different. It's a little bit, you know, New York tough. It's the hustle. It's, you know, the subway. It's all those hard things.
Yeah.
For me, it's worth it.
Right.
And you can find a way to make it work. We'll get into more like preconceptions later, but yeah, it's not easy, but it's possible. And if you understand that you're not gonna live like Carrie Bradshaw, then maybe it'll be a little easier for you to swallow the pill of living in New York City.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the slap in the face.
Yeah.
Is like, it's gonna be really hard to live here.
Yeah.
And
so now
I hope I like it, you know?
Yeah. So now that you've lived here and you live in our same building, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You've been here 5 months. Granted, not in the normal circumstances of the city because of the pandemic, but how is it? How do you feel?
It's still that.
You're still being slapped.
Yep. Still being slapped.
It sure does keep you up and aware.
Right. But if you only look on what's hard in New York, then it's only gonna be hard.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
true.
Only look on what are you benefiting from, what is the benefit, there's all these features.
Yeah.
But what's the benefit of being here? Then you're living the benefit.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I learned in New York is you roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing the game. Do you want to play the game, or do you want to play it safe? And
it's a gamble.
Yeah. And
moving anywhere is a gamble. Any change is a gamble, but it's a big gamble moving to New York for a lot of people.
Yeah, and also you gotta allow the opportunities to showcase themselves. I'll give an example.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk to the park, or you can take a bus to the park.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I feel like walking to the park.
Mm-hmm.
But when I take the bus to the park, it's easier.
Yeah.
I enjoy walking, but by the time I get to the park, I'm fucking exhausted.
Right.
And I need to walk back.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so you could take an Uber to the city and it's gonna be nicer, but you're gonna be more broke.
Yeah.
Or you can take the subway to this city, which is gonna be harder, but it's $2.75.
Right. Yeah.
You
got options. It's
exactly.
True. I mean,
So you're constantly reminded that the choices you make will and are affecting your future.
Yeah.
And that's a slap in the face, because in other places, in all the other places I lived in and even visited in, those little things don't matter as much. But here, they make the whole difference.
Yeah.
I could buy a parka for $200 or a parka for $400. I'm gonna freeze, right?
Right.
I'm gonna spend that money somewhere else. But should I just spend it on this?
Yeah.
Even though it's not as fun as exciting. So it's those little things that are constantly following you everywhere you go. And it's cool, because I get to really think how I want to live my life and what's important to me and stuff like that.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me when we first moved here is, especially when you move from a suburb or a small town where everybody has their own car and you don't use public transportation. So I remember realizing, like, wow, you really shop differently because you're going to have to carry it home. And it's like you said, it's those little things, those little decisions, those little realizations, and it makes you more humble. It makes you more thoughtful because you're thinking about yourself carrying all this shit back home in the subway, in the rain, in the cold, in the heat. And you're thinking, well, I better just get the real things that are really important, and not have all this extra stuff just because it's cute or just because it's cheap or just because whatever.
Right.
So that's like one example of like how your thought process changes, how you change in the way you make decisions, and it applies then to bigger decisions also, like your occupation, or you really ask yourself, is it worth me taking the subway for an hour each direction every day?
There you go.
To work in this job. And it's amazing that the subway is there for me, that I can live one place and that is cheaper and easier and quieter, and work in Midtown. And like you said, it's not expensive. Monthly Metro card is $130 for unlimited rides. But you do start really thinking about weighing things out.
Yep.
Is it worth it? And it makes a big difference in the decisions that you make, and therefore in the life that you live.
Right. You're not just cruising.
Yeah, exactly. The difficulties that you're faced with make you make different decisions.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we're gonna take a quick New York break. And we will be right back.
All right. See you soon.
New York.
Hello. Welcome back to
New York.
Nice. Yes. So we would like to debunk or confirm some of people's misconceptions or preconceptions about living in New York. So I have a few here. So let's start. First of all, New York City is Manhattan, or that Manhattan is the biggest borough, which is not true.
New
York City consists of Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. And the Bronx.
Yes.
Almost forgot. 5 boroughs. And I believe Brooklyn is the largest one, actually. So, debunked.
Da.
All right, next one is New Yorkers are rude.
No.
I don't think that's true. I think it's just, listen, when you're in a hurry to get somewhere and it's crowded, it's cold, and someone is like taking their time with asking you whatever question it is, just get to the point.
It's like when you're in a light, when you're driving and you're in a light stop.
Right.
And you can turn, but you don't want to, or you're just not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And people honk their horn.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, just there's no automobile in front of you. It's just a raw person.
You're like, just get on with it, honey. Yeah. You can get it out. Whatever. What do you need? I can help you.
Yeah.
But you just gotta tell me what you need.
Time is a thing, honey.
Right. So
I do have something to add.
Yeah.
The servers in New York, it's just different.
Yeah, I think there's like the old-fashioned places where service is
forgotten.
It's not what we're used to nowadays. They're acting, I guess, the way servers would act 60 years ago. We're just like, throw your food at you and be like, here you go.
Or after doing it for 60 years, you're like, there you go.
Maybe, who knows? Well, maybe we'll never know. But yeah, it's a little more, rough around the edges, a little bit more
prison-like.
No, that's bad. Not to say that it hasn't happened. Yeah, people will bump into you on the street and maybe they won't say sorry. Don't take it personally. It's not considered rude in New York. It's considered moving on with your day.
Yeah.
But other people will consider it rude. If you're from, the South or Midwest, you're gonna think that people here are rude, but it's not coming from a rude place. Just know that.
Yeah, and honestly, I've had good interactions with people, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
So,
next is, it's extremely dangerous. Yes and no. For the most part, no. Most, places in Manhattan, especially if you're coming as a tourist and you're hanging out in downtown and midtown, maybe Upper East, Upper West, you're fine. Fine. You're, sorry. You're fine. Vlad, yes, here. You're fine.
New York.
Oh my gosh. Brooklyn depends. Again, if you're in Williamsburg, Brooklyn Heights, Greenpoint, all the touristy hip areas, yeah, you're fine. To live, you need to do research, and there are a lot of apps and videos, and if you have questions of we will help you until you don't live there or do live there. There are neighborhoods that are shady and are dangerous, and there is gang activity in them. But with some research, you can choose not to live there.
Right. I think the main part is to remember it's not the 70s.
Right.
It's 2020. And the more people there are, the higher chances of something happening. So you just need to be cautious.
Yeah. Just be aware of your
Jacqui.
surroundings.
And you just it's not dangerous. It's just that there are more possibilities in New York for good or bad.
True. I feel like it's pretty much the same in any big city that you go to all around the world. There are, like you said, people that see mugging someone or robbing someone as an opportunity, and it may happen. It hasn't happened to me, thankfully, in almost a year and a half. I've never, if I see someone that looks suspicious, I just move. I just don't hang out around them. I don't interact with them, and I find a different place to be.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like New York is more dangerous than any other big city in the world. All right, moving on. You can't live here unless you're super rich. I think it's not true at all. I think it's just a matter of your priorities. And if your priority is to live in New York and you don't have a lot of money, then you're going to have to live in a neighborhood that is not in the center of things and not the most hot neighborhood in New York City. And, or live in the West Village in a drawer.
Yeah.
But it does exist. You can rent a drawer for $2,000 in the West Village if you want to.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, a lot of ambulances right now.
So for me, you don't need to be super rich. Do I want to? Yes. Am I? No. But it's with any big city you move to, you need to do your research.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to be rich. There's gonna be a compromise.
Exactly.
There's gonna be a, oh my God, I can go to the comedy club and live the New York life.
Mm-hmm.
But I live in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And some people live in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And they commute into the city. Some people live, Washington Heights, which is in Manhattan. It's just far, 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 far north. Harlem, is a thing. So there are options out there. And like I said, it's a matter of priorities. You can live more outskirts of the city in a bigger apartment, or you can live in a teeny, teeny, tiny, 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 tiny place in the city or with roommates. You're still gonna pay some money. Okay. It's not gonna be like it is in other towns, smaller towns in America. But rent is gonna be your biggest expense. But you're saving like car payments, car insurance. You're saving on that. Food is, maybe, okay, yeah, things are $1 more. But I don't feel like that's going to break the bank for me as far as like produce that you're buying. Is it slightly more expensive? Yes, it is. But even now we discovered during this time, Corona and stuff, we can order deliveries from Walmart. And we get Jersey prices. So even that is not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And eating out, there is actually a big variety of options from very affordable to ridiculously expensive. But you can eat out in like a little kiosk or a salad bar or whatever for $10, $12. And you're going to get a great, healthy meal. So
yeah. Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that are for free in the
This
city.
is like the city that everybody broke moves to. So, people are figuring it out for each other.
Yeah.
So I think it's the most open community because there's a New York community
Yeah.
for everything. And people want you to move to New York. New York is not a shut down place. So
Except for right now.
yeah, prior to like.
No, I'm just joking. I
Yeah.
understand what you mean.
There are sublets, there's Airbnbs,
Yeah.
there's community places that will help you out.
Yeah.
There's endless opportunities. If you really want to move to New York, it's more than possible. I think it's easier to move to New York than to San Francisco.
I agree. I think so. No, New York is very developed and at the end of the day very welcoming, and there are a lot of options here. And you don't have to be rich to live here. You may become rich by living here because there's so many opportunities here that don't exist anywhere else.
Right.
But let's move on.
Okay.
Next is it's too crowded.
Yep.
Well,
It is too crowded.
define too crowded. It, depends on who you're asking. But no, all jokes aside, yes, it's crowded as fuck, especially during the holiday season where there's a gazillion people on the streets And not only there are a gazillion people, they're all tourists and very, very slow and taking pictures of everything. And when you need to get to work, it's very, very annoying because you are not on vacation and everybody on the street is.
Dude.
So, yes, it's very crowded. The subway's crowded. The streets are crowded. The stores are crowded. There are lines everywhere. Yeah.
Life is crowded.
So that is true. Okay, the next one is going to be your favorite, Jasmin. The subway's a hassle.
Bro, you think a hassle is a hassle? Wait until you use the subway regularly. Let me tell you, a hassle is not even an example of what using the subway regularly is. You just gotta put
Jasmin's
on
got
some...
beef with the subway.
Yeah, you just gotta put on some headphones, honey.
Yeah.
And imagine you're sitting on a beach that's very shaky. And
noise canceling headphones come in handy on the subway.
it also depends on what type of person you are.
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive to noise.
Yeah.
And I got over the phone for the first month I've been here. The first big purchase was headphones.
Yeah.
With noise canceling.
Yeah.
Over the head.
Over the ear.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
convenient. Look, okay, if first of all, you do live close to a subway station. Doesn't really matter which line. Some people will disagree, but as far as getting around, it's very easy. Once you get a hold of it, it's confusing in the beginning, but once you get it, it does you no matter where you are in the city, you can get to wherever you want to go with the subway. And you may have to switch, but for the most part, it's very comprehensible. It makes it easy to hop from one area to another, especially if you're in Manhattan, because there's the most lines in Manhattan. So it's very easy to be in the Upper West Side and jump to whatever, Soho, and then be like, you know what, I want to look at the Statue of Liberty. Let's go to the financial district and just hop on a train and get there in 5 minutes. So, yes. But once you get into a little bit of longer commutes, yeah, it is. I mean, it's a hassle. It takes time. It like we said, it's crowded, but it's safe and it's affordable. It's safe in the way that there's no accidents. There can be some shady people, especially late at night. But again, any big city has that.
The subway will teach you to believe in yourself.
Going philosophical on the subway.
If you can fucking ride the subway, you can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was really cool because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's no reception on the subway. No internet.
From the 80s.
No calls. There's no reception on the subway. So if you're on the subway, you're not getting any calls, any texts, and you cannot go online. And that became a big plus for me because I started reading books on the subway. And it's great because it's time in the day that you're forced to take a break from your phone and social media. And especially if you're commuting for a long time, it's not like a 10-minute thing where you're not going to pull out a book, you know? So actually I eventually came to a point where I enjoyed my rides on the train because I was reading my books, and it was fun for me, and it was like a quiet time break for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to look at the glass half full sometimes. All right, next preconception, it will happen, Jasmin, is people are terrible drivers. I mean, I don't drive. Looking at being a streetwalker.
I am a streetwalker.
I would not want to drive regularly in New York. It's just same as, the crowdiness. There's just a lot of cars. And if people bump into each other walking, then cars bump into each other.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. No. I mean, just don't have a car when you live in New York. And if you take cab drivers know how to deal with it.
Honestly, I would say they're not terrible drivers. They just cut it really short.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen, I mean, I think they're better drivers.
I feel like
know how
they're more aware and more like focused on the road and less texting and
no texting.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know how to drive their automobile. Let me just tell you.
I mean, the maneuvering that you have to do in New York City sometimes is it's an art. It's an art form. Like the things you see people pull off, sometimes it's like, how did you do that? So I agree. Next is there's no nature in the city. Could not disagree more.
Right.
I mean, Central Park, yeah, sure. But there are a lot, except like Central Park is huge. Let's first say that. So there's a ton of nature in Manhattan. Then there's Prospect Park in Brooklyn, which is also huge and like more of an untouched nature vibe. And there are a ton of little parks all over the city, which I personally love, because you can go take a little salad and sit in the park and eat your salad or your sandwich or your Five Guys or your Shake Shack.
Oh, I'm hungry.
and just look, people watch, enjoy the breeze, enjoy the sound of the leaves and the wind, and take a pause from the crowd and noise. So I don't think that's true. And obviously there's all the beaches, the water everywhere.
Yeah, there's nature.
There's a ton of nature. And if you need more, obviously, just hop on a train upstate, and there you go.
Goodbye.
Oh, this is an interesting one. The city that never sleeps. Everything's open late. So, depending on where you came from.
Honey. No, honestly, bars close at 2 p.m., 3 p.m.
2 p.m.
Sorry.
They open at noon. They close 2 hours later.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
3 a.m.
I think it's so I think it depends, but most places close at 2 a.m. There are some places that are open till 4 a.m. But honestly, Tel Aviv is the city that never sleeps.
Right. Even New Yorkers would say that.
I mean, yeah.
Like people that have lived in New York for years and traveled to Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
They will tell you Tel Aviv never sleeps.
It's true. Yeah.
Places, it sleeps between 6 a.m. or 5,
5, 6, yeah.
7 is really quiet. If you're out at 7 a.m., you're an early bird.
Yeah, but Tel Aviv, I think, if coming from Tel Aviv, no, that is not true. New York is not the city that doesn't sleep. Things close. I mean, restaurants close at 11.
Some.
Okay?
Yeah.
Most of them. 11 or 12. Bars are open until 2 or most until 2, some until 4. Yeah, there's not a lot. Some places are 24/7, but it's mostly like shitty diners that you don't really want to go to.
Yeah.
So it's not coming from Tel Aviv. Coming from Tucson, yeah, it is, of course, because in Tucson, everything shuts down at 9 p.m. Everything. Not that there's much to begin with, but whatever was is done at 9 p.m.
Bro.
And everybody's in bed or watching TV at home. So it's not that bad, obviously. People are out and about late at night, going to bars, going to restaurants, especially on the weekends. But it's not like Tel Aviv. So depends on where you come from. And I've heard that like places like Barcelona are also way more like
Europe. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is expensive in New York, including rent. I feel like we kind of answered that, which is depends.
You make your choices, honey.
Yeah. Next one, it's just like Sex in the City or Friends.
No.
No. I mean, for the most part, unless you come from a wealthy family and you can rent an apartment wherever you want. and buy designer clothes all the time and eat out every day, that would be very expensive.
It can.
But there are jobs here. If you are a lawyer, if you're an accountant, maybe you work in Wall Street, maybe you're in marketing. I mean, you can get there.
Right, that's the difference.
Yeah, you can get to there. You probably won't start there.
If you rolling in dough, yes, it's just like New York. It's just like Sex and the City.
Yeah. But, yeah. All right, the next one is the city is really dirty. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, not all of the city. Upper West Side.
How much rent you paying, honey?
I mean, Upper West Side, Upper East Side.
Clean.
No, they're nice and clean. Brooklyn, the nice neighborhoods are nice and clean. Midtown is disgusting. Yes, it's disgusting. Most of Chelsea is pretty dirty. Yeah, I mean, just think that about 8 to 10 million people move around in the city every day. So that's a lot of people moving around.
It's not the city that's dirty, it's you.
And the subway is nasty. Yes, it is. All right, the last one is the weather is bad.
Jacqui, I think the weather's pretty bad. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not. Oh my God, the weather in New York is so good.
Nobody moves here for the weather.
Exactly.
Let's just put it that way. It's cold in the winter, it's hot in the summer.
There you go.
It's not great. I mean, yeah, it's not great. But that's not why we moved here.
No.
All right.
That's a wrap.
Is it?
For this part.
Oh, yeah. Okay, next thing is there's something I call a New York moment, which is when two extreme things happen at the same time.
Yes.
I feel like New York is filled with clashes. It like contradicts itself all the time. So I have a very funny New York moment.
You go, girl.
So Vlad and I, it's the first week we're in the city. We're on the subway. And there's something called showtime on the subway when people come, artists come, and they perform for free. Well, they hope you give them some money. But it's very common on the subway, and we have breakdancers, singers, they just perform for you. So come in a group of singers, about, I think, 3 dudes, older men, singing in harmony beautifully. Beautiful. Just absolutely amazing. Everybody in the train is happy, smiling, singing along. Everybody's feeling the love. Like, oh my God, we live in the greatest city in the world. What a moment. How romantic. How exciting. Everybody just has little stars in their eyes and smiles on their faces.
Oh my God.
It's the best city in the world. Until we hear screaming and people are running from one end of the subway to another. And the singer stops singing. Everybody is in hysteria. Nobody understands what's going on until I look over and I see the homeless guy in the corner decided to wake up and take a leak.
Oh my God.
His pee is traveling through the subway cart, and everybody's on their tippy toes not to get the pee on them. This is so funny because from one moment that you're like, this is the best place in the world, to, oh my God, there's a homeless guy peeing in the corner, and what the fuck is happening? This is crazy. Get me out of here.
Right. Wow.
That's New York, in my opinion, in a nutshell.
Dude, I don't think I have a story.
That's okay. It's just because you haven't lived here long enough.
No, it's because I've been in my house the whole time
true.
I've lived here.
No, that is...
This is a New York. Okay, you want to hear what New York is? You move to the biggest city in the world, the most amazing city. You dream for a year. Oh my God, I'm going to explore the city. I'm going to have so much fun. I'm going to discover myself. I'm going to discover new places. I'm going to be this amazing person. And then you move 2 days after you sign the lease, the fucking COVID-19 decides to arrive and the city shuts down.
Yeah.
That's New York.
Yeah. Let us know, our listeners, if you have a New York moment.
Bro,
Yeah.
for real. I can't wait to hear. And then for someone who is dreaming about moving to New York
Yeah.
or visiting, what would you say?
First of all, I would say do your research, and if it is possible, come to visit. But not necessarily come to visit, because being a tourist is not the same as living here. Do your research, find out as much information as you can before you move here. Have a budget. Think about, try to create a budget with your rent, what your rent is expected to be, travel, food, whatever, and make sure that you have a job opportunity that can fulfill that. If you can get a job before you move here, that is awesome. If you don't make that stop you from doing it.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do, and I think most people do, is, get an Airbnb for a month or two. You probably won't be able to get into a lease anyway because of the requirements of most contracts here. So yeah, I would say do as much research as possible. Be as prepared as possible, I guess, as far as like accommodations and a job and just a general idea of a budget. But don't stress about it too much. If this is your dream, do it. Just go for it. You may hate it. You can always move out. But the worst thing, I think, is feeling like you missed out on something you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So if this is a dream, do it. Millions, I don't know, thousands, 100,000 of people do it every year. They get up and they move to New York in many different circumstances and ages. So don't think I'm too old. Don't think I'm too young. Don't think I'm too poor. If this is your dream, you can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I probably wouldn't say that, but I would recommend saying that.
What do you mean? What would you say?
I would be like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to move to New York?
Why did you want to move to New York?
I am an artist. And all artists come to New York. For one reason or another.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel people that live here are people that feel they have something to say.
Yeah.
And I love that because I feel like I have something to say in whatever shape or form it is. But if you want to live around creative people, intelligent people, people that have drive, people that want to achieve their goals, want to do something special, something different, be around art and architecture and music and fashion and different cuisines and people from all over the world, then yeah, you should move here.
Yeah, honestly, just to wrap it up, what makes New York New York for me is the people that live here.
Yeah.
That's who makes New York New York.
Absolutely.
And so, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah. And let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to us through our social media or even an email, just chutzpahtime@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we'll be glad to help, give advice, whatever it is that you need.
Yeah.
If we done it, you can do it.
Honey, that's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have to say, I'm so happy that I'm here. I'm so happy I did it.
Yeah.
I truly believe this is where I'm meant to be for now. I mean, who knows, in 5 years everything can change, but I'm supposed to be here right now. And
yeah.
I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm very happy that you're here, Jasmin.
Dude, I couldn't be happier. In New York, there's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
Nice. I mean, it's true. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. It's really true. Anyway. Shall we?
Namaste. Until next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Instagram at Chutzpah_time. That's CHUTZPAH_time, where we post updates and reminders so you don't miss any of our episodes or shenanigans. We also are on Facebook and YouTube at Chutzpah Time Podcast and on Twitter, Chutzpah Time. Thank you again and goodbye.